Hey everyone, so I wanted to talk a bit about what exactly is the meaning of my YouTube name, why I call myself the Poison Path. So I wanted to take a bit of time to explain that. So the Poison Path involves the study of traditional ritual entheogens, which is kind of a hard word to pronounce if you're not used to it, and their use in magic and witchcraft. So plants like belladonna and henbane and datura, herbs like that, um, and why we would use those. And normally they are used to achieve ecstasy or trance or shape shifting or prophetic visions, that kind of thing. And we use these plants in incense and ointments and oils, sometimes in smoking blends, and it's not something for everyone. The poison path is a path that involves extensive training and research to prevent you from harming yourself or anyone that you decide to bring into this path. Um, and part of this is using these herbs on a regular basis and learning from them. And before you even use them, I would say months, if not years, of training in book form and learning about these herbs, knowing everything you can about them before you even begin to use them. And using them from seed to plant to oil to butter to tincture, knowing every possible thing about them before they're used. Now, having said that, there are other plants that would fall in this category that are much safer to use, but in large amounts can be harmful. Plants like wormwood or mugwort or wild lettuce, even tobacco could be part of this. Using those beforehand, kind of getting a hang on those plants and knowing how those plants work for you. And there are some really good books that exist. One of my favorites is called The Encyclopedia of Psychoactive Plants, which is a book of ethnopharmacology. And it's a really great book for people who want to learn about ethnobotany and the darker side of those kind of plants. And the book is written by Christian Reich. It's Ratcsh, but it has an umlaut over the A, so I don't really know how to pronounce that. And I'm sorry. Another really great book is by Dale Pendell, and it's the Pharmaco series. There's the Pharmacopoeia, the Pharmacodynamics, and the Pharmacognosis. It's a trilogy, each one covering a different section, and those are really great books as well. Within the poison path, there is kind of a view that the knowledge of these plants is important because through these plants we can actually alter our consciousness. And some people view it kind of as a negative. I know I've encountered people who think that all I'm doing is learning about ways to use legal drugs, which is not the case. I do this because I want to develop a relationship with these herbs and with these plants and be able to use them in a way that is beneficial to my practice. And I'm not saying that I can't do energy work or achieve trance states without these plants, because I definitely can. But these plants allow for a more unfiltered experience of the divine, and that is what I want. I'm not saying that I would use these plants all the time, but in certain points these plants would be useful. in certain rituals to certain deities. Hecate, for example, is a lot of the herbs associated with her are pretty dangerous. Belladonna, for one, can kill people. It is a poison, but used in a very controlled way can allow your subconscious to be more forward, especially during trance or even during sleep, and can bring about pretty vivid dreams. Um, Even things that aren't plants, such as like toads and toadstools, toadstools being fungus, um, you can use aminatas, which are a poisonous toadstool, but can produce pretty intense hallucinations. The same with the secretions of certain toads can produce pretty vivid hallucinations. Uh, and there is another book which I have yet to get my hands on because it is so expensive, called the Venefif. Can't pronounce this word. It's really hard. Veneficum, Beneficium. It's Veneficium, and it's Magic, Witchcraft, and the Poison Path, and it's by Daniel A. Schulk, and it is an entire book written about the poison path and what exactly it is. And it is a book that I desperately want to own, but it is probably in like the hundreds of like the $100 range, if not more. But it is an amazing book, and so that's kind of my view on why I call myself the poison path. It's definitely the most interesting part of my herbal study. I would definitely consider myself an herbalist, more so in the magical sense of the word than the herbal sense. I definitely know herbal applications for herbs, but I would definitely say that the magical side is where I spend most of my focus. And I definitely want to be able to use these plants that people would consider dangerous in my practice. Would I use this in a group ritual? Probably not. I would want to make sure that everyone who was in ritual was okay with what was being used. So I would not put datura in an incense, for example, if someone in the group that I was with was not comfortable with that. Because datura, when burned, can create hallucinations and like very intense feelings in certain people if they're not prepared for it, because it does open you up pretty heavily. It's also used in smoking blends to create hallucinations. You can do the same with like nutmeg, but datura is much more intense than nutmeg would ever be because of the chemicals that are in datura. And I guess what I'm saying is, don't try this at home. Like, don't take what I'm saying and then be like, oh, well, I watched Toby's video, I can do this now. Please don't do this at home. Don't do this without training, proper training. The books that I mentioned are great resources, but they are not training. You need to study these herbs, know the dosage, and like because the dosage changes depending on the person. So like someone my size would need much less of an herb to get the effects because I'm so small, or someone who is larger than me would need more. And you need to know the dosage per pound to keep someone safe, and kind of it's a lot of like medical stuff that goes into this. Even if you're using them for magical purposes, you have to know the medical side of these herbs to keep you and others safe. So in saying that, the poison path is not for everyone, but it is what has called me and the path that I have chosen to walk. That is not saying that I don't work with other herbs, it is just saying that these are the herbs that I spend a lot of focus on. I don't use any of them currently. I don't feel that I have achieved a level of knowledge where I would feel comfortable using these herbs. I have bought them from other herbalists, so I have bought like flying ointments from other herbalists to use who are much more knowledgeable in this path than I am, and I have found pretty good results using those, and I can only hope that at one point I can do the same thing with my own herbs and make my own like flying ointments and oils and incenses and such. But for now, I tend to stick with like mugwort and damiana and clove and nutmeg, which can do the same things on a much smaller scale and a much safer scale. So, all that being said, that is why I picked this name. And I'm sure this video is kind of weird and all over the place. As you can tell, I never really plan out a lot of these videos. I kind of just pick a topic and then ramble to all of you. So hopefully that's okay with you, because I don't plan on changing it anytime soon. So hope you all enjoyed, and hope you have a great rest of your day or rest of your night, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.